The truth David never knew until his death, and the cruel studio trigger also deceived the audience. Did you notice? From David's perspective, he never saw Maine turn into a cyberpsycho. In episode 6, Maine had a total of 6 cyberpsychosis episodes. Dorio was by his side every time except when David was around. First episode, Maine's hands started shaking and he injected the suppressor. Second episode, he ripped off Kiwi's jaw. It was then that David noticed Maine's strangeness. He asked Falco what was happening, but Falco only brushed him off, saying, "Ask Maine yourself." By this time, Maine had already regained his senses. After Maine left, Dorio revealed to David that Maine was showing signs of cyberpsychosis, but David still didn't realize how serious Maine's condition was. He cautiously tried to check on Maine, but the sober Maine flew into a rage. Unwilling to accept that others saw him as a cyberpsycho, he harshly insulted David and told him the military-grade Sandevistan David had installed was supposed to be his. This deeply hurt David, making him feel like a mocked clown. Third episode, Maine had an episode in the parking lot. Fourth episode, Maine hallucinated while answering Faraday's call. Figure that appeared in his hallucination was actually Falco, and Maine even attacked him. Fifth episode, Tanaka was killed during Maine's episode. Maine then injected the suppressor and regained clarity. He sharply scolded David, punched the indecisive David. This made David think Maine was fully sober. Later, after David rescued Lucy, Lucy tried to tell him that Maine had become a cyberpsycho, but David was already gone. He clearly never heard those words. When David saw Maine again, Dorio was dead. This was Maine's sick cyberpsychosis episode. There's another detail here. If you rewatch the scene of Dorio's death, you'll see Maine fired a shot at her, but Dorio dodged it. She actually died, taking a bullet from the NCPD to protect Maine. Closely at her fatal wound, it's on the back of her head. Dorio sacrificed herself to save Maine, and this tragedy briefly snapped Maine back to his senses. Then David showed up. In reality, Maine had already completely lost his mind by this point, but a coincidental exchange made David believe Maine was normal. So after Maine was eliminated by MaxTac, David always blamed himself. He thought his hesitation in dealing with Tanaka was what killed Maine and Dorio. He never knew Maine had already gone cyberpsycho. Poor, naive David. That's why he was so desperate to become stronger after all. The deaths of his mother, Dorio, and Maine had already made him realize. At 17, he was nothing but a burden.